Welcome to Carolyn's Art. I'm Carolyn Thompson. I'll be demonstrating the wet-on-wet technique of oil painting for you. And some time ago, I promised you a buffalo, right? Well, that's what you're going to get tonight. This painting is called Buffalo Mountain. It's a Robert Warren composition. The instructions for this buffalo, the formulas for the paint, the drawing for the buffalo, everything is in this art book. You'll be able to pick it up at any art store, I'm sure. Let me tell you what I've done. So far I have a 16 by 20 canvas up here. I took the tracing of the buffalo. This particular tracing was faced in the wrong direction, so I reversed him and traced him. Put him onto my canvas with graphite paper. Then I made another tracing of the buffalo with, this is self-adhesive clear paper. You can see, I think maybe it'll show up on the camera. We'll see. You can see that this paper, the tracing of the buffalo shows through. I traced this buffalo again with this plastic paper, painted the buffalo with a black acrylic paint. Then I glued this adhesive paper to the buffalo. It was not quite as sticky as I wanted it to be, so I put regular, just household glue on it. When I pull it off, we will have a little bit of the white on there from the glue, but I'm not concerned about it. You know by now we can take care of anything. Okay, I'm going to start this painting, but now that I have my tracing on, I have the buffalo painted and the covering on him, I'm going to put magic white onto my canvas and cover this entire thing. Having the buffalo covered makes it so easy when we're doing the background. We don't have to worry about disturbing him at all. We paint right over him, and then we can do, when we get ready to do him, he's undisturbed. Okay, I'm going to take a 2.5-inch brush, put some magic white on my canvas, and like I said, go right over your drawing. It's perfectly all right. This comes in real handy, the idea of covering your subject like this and protecting it on many, many paintings. So if you have some subject matter that you want to paint that you don't want disturbed, you don't want the background to interfere or get any colors in him, disturb him in any way, then make a tracing of whatever it is, cut out a pattern and cover him up. Could be almost anything. It might be a bird or a person or whatever. It's a real handy little tool when you're painting. Okay, I'm just putting magic white on here. Very thin coat, not a whole lot. Now, if you find that the cover on your buffalo is peeling off, brush away from your subject instead of into it, and it won't peel back on you quite. This one's sticking very, very well. I must have put a half a gallon of glue on him. We'll see how easy he comes off later. That may be the problem. But I'm not concerned about mine peeling up. I'm concerned about getting him off later. But if yours tends to peel back or whatever, then just brush away from your subject matter, and it won't disturb him. Let me see. I need a little bit more down here. Didn't get any on the bottom. This is a really fun painting to do. I think you're going to really, really like it. We're going to paint mountains with a brush. I've shown you how to do mountains with a palette knife. So on this show, you'll be able to see how to make nice, soft, distant mountains. All right, I think we're about ready to go. Get rid of that brush. I'm going to show you the paint mixtures that I have on this palette. Now, like I said, the book that has the instruction in it will give you the exact formulas for these particular paints. I have several different blues, a mauve, gray, some gold, sweet color, a dark green that's burnt umber and soft green, and of course just burnt umber and burnt sienna. And different value. This is orange and white. I'm not going to give you the exact formulas for it, but when you're painting, as I'm telling you what I'm putting up there, if you don't have the book or you don't have the formula, get as close as you can and just try it. You'll really, really like it. Don't get hung up on the exact formulas. I'm going to start off with this painting by putting peach. I'm going to use a 2.5-inch brush. I could even use if I hadn't put it in the thinner can, I could have used the same one. And I'm going to cover the top half, or just about half of this canvas with the peach, making sure that I come down just below his head, the buffalo's head. This is deep orange and white. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how far to come down, just about right there, where his head, the little hump, starts on his back. Spreading this peach out. We're going to have this peach all throughout the painting. Beautiful color. Now paint right over the covering that you have on your buffalo. Don't worry about that. We'll try to paint around it. When we complete this painting, we want it to look as though the buffalo were painted along with the background, not as if he's pasted on there. So in order for it to appear that way, you've got to make certain that you paint right up to and over the buffalo himself. Okay, stretching this peach out. We're going to have some clouds up here later, so I want to make sure I have some peach behind them. Okay, we're just going to keep extending this paint, just pull it out. All right, I think that's enough of the peach. I'm going to put this 2.5-inch blender down. I'm going to grab a flat brush. This is a flat Badger. This particular brush is a 5/8 inch. I'm going to go into a gray mixture I made of ivory black and white. And I'm going to start shaping a mountain that is very distant back here. This mountain will end up ending right about there on his hump. So I don't want to get it too high. Be careful when you're doing this. Let's start it right here. That's good for that one. That's all you need to do now. You can frame it. Okay, let's put another one over here. We'll have it coming down and a slightly cross over this one. Not real steep. This is real distant. And then in the very distant background, we have another mountain. This one is very, very far back. Okay, now, this is very simple. All you're going to do, I'm going to take this brush and making a side stroke, fill in the mountain base on this first mountain right here. Now, you'll notice as I'm scrubbing, my brush is picking up part of the peach that's underneath. It's going to pick up part of the magic white, and we're going to end up having different values of this gray right here. Very important. Now, remember, brush over and into this little cutout. Don't come up here like this and try to paint right around it. Go right over it. Okay, just picking up a little more gray. We're going to have another mountain in here later, but we're going to paint these first, then the clouds, and then we'll do the mountain that's the closest to us. I'm going to skip over to this one. It's a little bit closer, so I'm going to add just a touch more black to my gray paint. Get it just a little bit darker. One value darker. Put the outline. Let's give it a little bit of shape here. And over, I have to make sure I reach for the black and not, I have so many dark colors on my palette, it's hard to, you can label them at home. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start back over here and I'm going to start brushing with a stroke, watching the angle of my mountain. You don't want to brush straight across because your mountain is headed at a slope. So turn your brush and just follow that slope. Brushing into and over your drawing. Very important. It's going to do the same thing on this side. Pick up part of the peach and part of the white that's underneath. And just scrubbing, side motion. Now I'm going to start watching the angle on my mountain, trying to keep out of your way. Over here. Don't, make sure you get the edges over here. I think I told you this is a 16 by 20 canvas. If I didn't, then now you know. This particular painting looks very nice on a 16 by 20. I've tried it on an 18 by 24, and the buffalo looks a little lost on one that big, so you might want to stick with the 16 by 20. That's what Robert calls for in his book. I'm talking, of course, about Robert Warren. He's the master artist for Bill Alexander. Does some incredible things. Okay, I'm going to leave this mountain alone for the moment while I have very little paint on my brush. I'm going to go back here and fill in this distant mountain. Did not reload. In fact, I'll get a lot of the paint off down at the bottom of the mountain before I go up to the edge. This mountain barely shows back here. We could have done him first, as a matter of fact. Might be a little easier for you, but in the book Robert didn't, so it would be just as correct and much easier if you wanted to go ahead and do that one first, the one furthest back. I'm leaving a little bit of the peach showing here, a little barrier between this mountain and this one so that you can see the difference, and I'll show you what we'll do with that in a few minutes. Just scrubbing. And you also want to watch the angle on this mountain. Okay, I'm going to take a bunny brush before I do anything and even blur this particular mountain in the back out even more. This is a little soft mop brush, and I want to obliviate that line. This is so far back you can't even see where it's ending. All right. I'm going to wash out this brush real quick. I've mixed up a really beautiful mauve color, and I'm going to start adding just a little bit of mauve, loading both sides of my brush. I'm going to start on this one first and way back up here at the top. Now I'm still making a scrubbing motion. This beautiful mauve is going, it's a light, pretty purple. It's going to blend into the gray that's on there. It'll be brighter in places and lighter in places. Make sure you get a little of it down here at the base of your mountain. We have a lot of colors to go in here, so we'll probably lose a lot of this. I'm putting it on a little strong so that when we get the other colors in, it will show. Beautiful color. And remember, again, you're sloping your strokes down. Going to pick up a little of it and go over to this side. Bring it into your buffalo. Very little paint over here now. If you find that you've put it on too strong, go back to your gray and add a little bit of gray. I'm not going to add any to the background mountain back there because we have two colors to go in there, but so far back it wouldn't show much of the mauve. All right, I'm going to wash my brush. And before I finish the two mountains in front, I want to go back and put some little snow caps on the mountain. Very, very distant mountain. I'm going to use white, titanium white. Loading both sides of my brush and the same stroke. Come back here and zigzag. Lay a little snow back there. Just very irregular strokes. Remember what I keep telling you, don't have anything the same. So if you come up here and find that this pattern looks exactly like that one, change it. That's probably the most important rule in painting. Try to remember, keep things uneven. Let's put a little bit right back there on the very edge. We're going to have a cloud over there, so I'm not too concerned about that portion. Now, as we come closer, I'm going to add peach for our snow highlights. Very little paint. The same peach that we put in the background. And very close. Irregular, remember. Okay, I may even add a little of that peach on the edge of this mountain. We also have some shadow blue to go in there. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this light blue that I have made, and I'm going to put some snow caps right in here. This could have a little more white in it. Let me lighten this up just a little bit. A little too dark for my taste. Let's go back in there and try it again. Yeah, that's better. Put a few little snow patches that are in shadow right there. Okay, I'm going to switch over to this mountain right here. I want to put a couple of crevices into this mountain, so I'm going to use a little darker blue. Start zigzagging and show a little depth. Now, we won't have a lot of detail yet, so try not to go crazy here. Very little paint still. This one's very, very far away. We have another mountain that's going to be closer, and it will be more detailed, but you don't want to get too detailed too soon. It's a real temptation, and you can keep playing with these and make all kind of crevices and little canyons. And I'm still just zigzagging my brush. Do a little back blending. Get a few little details in there. Okay, I'm going to add just a touch more of the mauve to this one because I like that color. Primarily up here at the top, where the light would be hitting. And maybe a little touch of that blue that we had over here to show a couple of little ice patches. A little more white to it this time because this one's a little closer. Barely showing up at all. Let me add a little more white. There we go. You can put these patches anywhere you like, but they probably are going to show up in the very tops of the mountains more than anywhere else. And I just really shouldn't worry about it too much over here. Like I said, we have a big dark cloud. Okay, I lost most of my dark, so I want to go back and put a little bit more dark in. Give it a little definition. Let me step back and take a look. That's close enough detail for this particular mountain because it's so far back. Before I do the one in front, I'm going to do the clouds that are in the sky. These are real stormy clouds. I'm going to use, trying to decide which brush to use. I think a 1-inch brush for this. This is a blue-gray mixture. I'm just tapping my brush into it to get the ends. Now, the same thing goes for your clouds that did for all these little patterns or anything else you do in a painting. You don't want them all even. You don't want to come up here and have a little circle there and a little circle there and a little circle there. And then on this side have the same thing. Because this is not interesting. So what you want to do is start moving your brush in circles. Keep it moving. Let's pull one out there. We're going to have these clouds come down right over the mountain. The top of these mountains. I have very little paint on my brush. If we have one right in there, then that doesn't look too interesting. So what I want to do is bring one of these out, down, and maybe over a little bit. You decide in yours. We have a highlight to go on this too in just a few minutes. Had a hair on that canvas. Okay, let's go over to this side. Move, let a little bit of your peach show through here. Don't want to cover it all up. Put a little bit of a cloud coming down right there. Our light source is coming from the right. Okay, now what I need to do is step back and check and make sure that those aren't all exactly alike. They aren't, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. I'm going to make a little darker cloud right here. I did that by picking up a little bit more paint. Add a few little shadows to it in there. Add a few little shadows over here, a little bit more paint. Right, I'm going to get a clean 1.5-inch brush. Get some soft white. Thought I had another brush. going to load it the same way. And where I want a highlight, I'm going to add just white. I would like a little light right there. I'm turning my brush over because it got so polluted. Now, you don't want to come up here and put little circles in a row either, so move it around. The more interest you have in a painting, the quicker you're going to sell them. And you may be saying, oh, I don't sell my paintings. Well, you might someday, you know. It's kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to skip over to this side. We're going to have a little bit of highlight over here, especially right down over the mountain because it's like mist down here. A little more. I need a little bit more white paint right here. Ran out on my palette because I would like these clouds to be a little bit more distinct. And I've really picked up a lot of gray on my brush, so I need clean white. There we go. And a little bit of white right up there. Now I'm going to put this brush down. I want to blend these clouds, but before I blend them, I'm going to take my palette knife. Make sure it's nice and clean. I think I showed you this in the technique tape. Anywhere there's a buildup of paint, you can take your knife and scrape it off. I want to blend these, and I don't want them to smear. So just scrape off any of the paint that has a buildup on it. Didn't have too much, but there were a couple spots there. Now I'm going to take a really soft, either a mop brush or a bunny brush would work. But you have to make sure that it's totally dry. I just cleaned this one, so I'm going to make sure that it's dry before I go up there to blend my clouds. Pretty dry. Now, with a very, very soft touch. Very soft. Blend these out. I'm turning it over because I have a clean side to get into this light area. I didn't want to smear the paint. Now you can blend these until you're satisfied. And it looks good to you, then we'll go on to the next step. You don't want to take out all of the white, so use a very soft, just a whisper. The slow brush is very soft and it moves the paint very well. Let me step back and check and see if I like that just fine. So I'm going to put that brush down and we're going to start building, coming forward in our painting. We have a larger, more distinct mountain directly behind the buffalo. Same brush, the flat badger that I used to put in the other three mountains. This time I'm going to use the same color as the base for the clouds, for the base on this mountain. Loading both sides of my brush, and I'm going to check my painting here real quick and see exactly where you may want to do this on yours. I know that I want the mountain to end somewhere right there, and it's coming down at a slight angle. So behind him, if I follow through, I know that it's going to end up about right there. I know that I don't want it any higher, the highest peak any higher than about right there. I want a smaller peak right there. So I'm just laying this out for myself. This is what I call diagramming. It makes it easier when you go to paint. And I know that it's a little lower right there. We go. All right. Now I'm ready to fill in the top of my mountain. I know how high the highest peak is going to be. I know where it's going to end and where it starts. Same thing we did up here. I'm using a little more paint. Add a little interest to it here and there. We're going to make this mountain will appear closer, so it's darker. And now I'm just going to fill in the base Now I don't want to cover all of the colors that I have in there. I also know that this mountain's going to come down to about mid-nose on my buffalo. And also this entire grass line is going to be a little bit at an angle. Maybe not quite that steep. So I'm continuing to scrub. It's picking up the magic white. Going to give me different values. Later we'll get rid of this line right here, but you're not worried about it right now. You're worried about the mountain itself. Putting a little bit of shape into this mountain as I go. Do a little back blending. And that's going to later tell me where my highlights are going to go. Okay, I might want a little bit of a break right in there. Be sure to come over your buffalo. Put a little color, do a little back blending right in here. This area is still lighter than this one, so I already know where my highlights are going to go. This one's lighter than this one. So that gives me a very good idea where my little valleys and peaks and etc. are going to be. We may want one coming at an angle this way. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush out. Go to the, oh, you know what I forgot was to put a little bit of that mountain in over here. So let me go back. It's easy to forget that part. Also, can you, I don't know if the camera can come in real close. See this area? This is what I've been telling you about. Come over the cutoff on your painting. See, I left a little area right there. So make sure you go into and over that painting. There we go. Otherwise, when we take the little protective coating off, that area would have shown. It wouldn't have looked nice at all. So let's put in a little bit of a mountain here. Since I didn't fill in the base as far as I wanted on this one, I can go back. That was gray. And just work it in. Had a little mauve in it. So if you forget something, just fix it. All right. Now I also want a little bit of a distinct valley over here. That's enough. You don't need much. But just a little bit. I'm going into a darker blue to enhance and what's the word I want to use? To clarify these little valleys that I have right here. So see this darker color really picks up in here. It's going to show quite well. Intensify, that's the word I wanted. Again, make sure you don't have the same pattern. And we had one that was coming this way. Then we might have even had one way back here. All right, the next color I'm going to put on is the mauve. Now, because we're coming closer, this mauve will be a little stronger. So I'm going to add a little bit of it, primarily at the tops of the mountain. A little over here. Just skipping around and adding a little here and there. And I really want quite a bit of it right here at the bottom. So I'm going to add. This is for blending purposes later, so I'm adding it quite heavy right down here at the bottom. Wiped out my little, there we go. And I want a little bit of it right over here. All right, the next color we have is a green. Because we're coming closer, we may be able to see a little bit of the grass on this mountain in the little valleys. Putting it on the same way, scrubbing it in. This green blends very well with the blue and the gray that's on there. You'll barely be able to see it. But it's there, and it'll make a big difference in your painting. Put a little bit of it right here. Then I have a very light highlight. This is a yellow-green. I'm going to put it right on top of that green that was already there, blending it into these little valleys that are in this mountain. Checking the monitor to see if this is showing up. I may need to put it a little bit more intense so you'll be able to see it. And there's a little over here. There's even a little right back here. And there's a little over here. All right. And on the very tippy tops, we have a little bit of the peach that makes a nice highlight. And we're going to put it right in front of these dark areas so that they really pop out. And just back blend them. Let's put a little bit right on here on the edge. Might even have a little right back there. And some on the very top. Now you can overblend this very easily, so be careful. And we'll put a little bit right behind him. And some right here. So you decide on your painting where exactly you want to have these white highlights. All right. The bottom of the mountain right here has, we need to blend out, so I'm going to use a bristle brush. I already have magic white on there, and I'm just going to continue to go over until it just fades. Same thing over here. A little bit of that mauve showing up, and that's just fine. Okay, I'm going to use this same brush real quick, the bristle brush. Only I have a clean one right here. I'm going to use, we're going to put in the base for the grass, which is burnt umber. Put this on in a big line, like so. Just like that. A lot of it down here, very dark. Make sure it's worked into your canvas. Now, without adding any more paint, just start stretching it up. Watch the difference in the value as it gets lighter, lighter, lighter as we come up. It's going to give it a lot of depth. While I don't have much paint on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and get behind the buffalo and right under him. Then I can go back down here, get more paint, and stretch, stretch, stretch. This is so easy, you're going to love it. Oh, same thing over here. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Again, go right over your cutout. Then I'm going to add a little burnt sienna right here. And stretch it out. Add a little color back here. Different value. Most of this burnt sienna is going to be in front of the buffalo. Okay, I'm going to put this brush down, grab a 1-inch foliage brush, have a mixture of sap green and burnt umber equal parts. I'm going to touch. I loaded this brush about halfway up on one side. I'll show the camera. About halfway up the brush on one side, touching it to my canvas and pressing up. This is very, very dark, and this is what you want right in front. Makes a nice grass effect, and it's going to set that buffalo back. Then we're going to put some other colors back there, and then we can paint our buffalo. He won't take long, so be okay. All right, now that I have very little paint on my brush, I've already put most of it in the front, I can go back here and just touch. Smaller, same stroke, just smaller because the grass is further away, so not as much of it's going to show. We have other colors to put in here, so you need a little bit of this dark, so they'll show up. Now, right underneath the buffalo, there's a shadow. he's casting a shadow out here. If our light source is coming from the right, then he's going to cast a shadow in front of himself and right underneath. Okay, let me see if I have a clean one. Yes, I do. I'm going to go into a beautiful peach or light gold color that I have and start here and there, dropping in some brighter little grasses. Just skip around. Okay, now right back here next to the mountain, you'll need a fan brush. And I have a mixture of yellow ochre and white. It is very, very light wheat color. I've loaded my brush, and right next to the base I'm just going to start tapping, as if there's a plane way back there and we can't even see the grasses. Take it behind the buffalo, right up to the edge of your mountain. Right on down, working it in. All right, now I want to go back real quickly. I don't have a clean 1-inch brush. Let me clean it real quick. We need to get onto this buffalo real fast. I want to go back here and there and add a little touch here and there underneath those highlights of the darker green. Just like so. All right, we're ready to take this covering on our buffalo off. Now I usually start down on his feet because if my knife slips or it messes up, then I can repair it easier. I really had him glued on. Okay, just going to pull him off. Okay, now notice this white area right in here. We're going to take care of that real quick. I'm going to use a filbert brush and black. I had a black acrylic base on him. So the black, I'm going to very quickly fill in any of the white area. I may have to get in front of the camera here real quick to do this. The lights are so bright up here, I have to get very close to see his outline. Almost always happens when you have a cutout, but you don't worry about it, you just fill it in. Okay. I'm not worried about the little white specks here. I'm more concerned about the outline of his face. He has a little nose, juts up there. He's going to have a little beard down there. Now he's very dry. He has been covered and he has no magic white and no clear on him. If your paint doesn't move well enough, you can add a little clear. This portion I'm not concerned about. We're going to put a beard on him, so that'll take care of that. Get his little rump back here. Just make certain. I may not cover all of it in mine demonstrating for you, but when you're doing yours at home, be very careful and go through here and cover any of the outline that shows in white. He does, in fact, have 2 legs back here. It's not just one. One is in front of the other one. And the hind legs on a buffalo are very small. It's the front legs that are powerful and large. And let's put him a little bit of a tail right there. Okay, at this point, I'm going to load my filbert brush, come up under here, and he has a little beard right here. So I'm just taking the side of my brush. These beards sometimes hang down a foot or more on the male buffaloes. I'm going to put some jagged little edges under his neck, down the front of his legs, and underneath his belly right here. Just making short, choppy little strokes. I may want to make his beard a little bit longer right here. And you can intensify this shaggy little tail if you want. Buffaloes are not real attractive animals, but they're fun to paint. Okay, I'm going to prepare his little face right here real quick, and then we'll be ready to paint him. All right, I'm going to clean my brush out. I have a dark, dark red mixture that I'm going to scrub in pretty much all through the middle part of him. This is going to be the base color for him. This is burnt umber and I believe rose and burnt sienna. I'm not real sure, but like I said, the book will have the exact colors for you. There's so many colors on my palette tonight I can't remember all of them. I'm going to put a little bit on his cheek right there. Now, before I do the rest of the buffalo, I want to get his eye, his horn, and his nose in for you real quick. I'm going to use a small round brush. Remember the light blue that we used right here on the mountain to make the closer little snow caps? I'm going to let's go right up here to his snout, if we can come in real close, right to his nose. And I'll show you how to put these in. I loaded this little brush, and I'm going to make two little nostrils. You can try to lay your hand or not. I better not tonight. Make two little half circles. And then put a little dot in the center. That's all you need, the indication of a snout. I'm going to use the same color with a little bit of gray to decide where his eye is. His eye is going to be at an angle from his nose right there, so I know it's right in here. So that's all I'm going to do. I also know he has an ear that is right behind his eye. So I'm going to put the indication of that in. Then add a little black to it. We have a highlight that's going to go in his eye later. He has a horn right here, which is black. And it comes just about like so. We can stay in real close here. Now, on Robert's composition, he did not show a horn on the other side of this buffalo, but I prefer to show just a little bit. Now, it will be shorter because it's further away, but I feel like it might be there. So, and you don't have to put this in if you don't want. Just a portion of it showing back there. Okay, let me quickly put in the highlight in his eye, and then we can do the rest of this buffalo. I'm going to use a little bit of that light yellow color that we used in the grass further back here to highlight, to put a highlight right in the center of his eye, the smallest dot you can possibly make. Smallest little dot. Maybe it's reflecting some of the grass. Okay, I'm going to start right here along his back with this beautiful rust color, just tapping. Now make certain you go up over this black line. You don't want a black line left there. They're very shaggy. Tap, 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 tap. I can bring it down over his rump. Now, remember there's a tail here, so the highlight can separate the tail from his rump. It can also separate this leg from the one behind it, like so. It can also separate this shoulder and this leg from the one behind it. Adding some more. He has a little bit of a highlight in there. I'm going to put a little bit on his cheek. You want to leave this dark portion right in here. That's my favorite brush. So if you get too much, just wipe it out. The black will automatically come back, and let's put a little on top of his head right here. A little bit lighter where some of the light's filtering through. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush real quick. I have a very, very light yellow that I'm going to put right here. buffaloes have this thick coat right behind their back. I guess it's a protection from the wind or whatever. It's like a sweater or a mat. Looks like a rug, actually. And I'm just tapping this brush to give this buffalo texture. Tapping, tapping, tapping. And this coat extends down to about so. I'm going to put a little bit of this color right at the top of his head, give him just a little bit of texture right there. I'm going to go back and put the other color. I didn't like that. There, I like that a little bit better. Combination of both of them. There, now right along his rump back here, he needs a little more color. How much time do I have, floor director? Do you think? About 5 minutes? 15 minutes. Okay, put a little highlight back here. All right, now on his horn, right up here, usually anything that's very, very black and shiny has a highlight. So I'm going to use just a touch or a reflected light on it so to make it look shiny. I'm going to use a little bit of the blue, that light colored blue that we used on his nostril, and put just a little small line right down the side of the horn. It may not show up on the monitor, but it's there. All right, I want to straighten his face out just a little bit. At this point, you can take your time and get all the detail. He has a very dark area right here in front of his face, down to his nostril. Will also give me a chance to shape the nostril. Then you go back with a smaller brush, form his little cheek, or big cheek. Nothing small on this baby. Bring some of this color down his leg. I want a little bit more of it right back here. And now I have a really light color, very light beige color on the end of my brush, and right along the very, very top of his back and around his rump, I'm going to tap some of this color in. This is very light. I'm still using this little round brush. You could do this with the filbert too, just like we did the original coat. So we're getting progressively lighter, lighter, lighter on his back where the sun's hitting. You know, we could probably back up with that camera. I'm noticing on the monitor that it's not showing very well. Let's back up a little bit so that maybe the colors will show through on him. I was just checking and they weren't showing up too well. I think it's a little bit too bright in here. Okay, I want to go back to his nostril with black. Put a very dark little mark in there. Now, I want to set this buffalo down into the grass, so I'm going to go back to the dark grass color that we had and put it in front of his feet. He probably needs a little bit of highlight on his tail also. So we could add just a little bit of color right. Make sure you leave the dark area showing there, though, which separates his tail from his behind end back there. Okay, I need to clean a 1-inch brush. We'll go back and intensify the shadow, set him into the grass, and then I want to go back and make the grass in the very front darker because that will make this grass appear lighter. So that was sap green and burnt umber, equal parts. Go up here, just touch. Set him right down into that grass. And intensify his shadow just a little bit. Now, in front of that, I have to clean my brush. I'm going to take some of that light gold mixture that we had. and go in front of that, here and there. And a little bit of the very lightest yellow also. Primarily, this light color is going to be down, out here in front, where he's not shading, and right here behind him where the sun's really hitting. And maybe a little out here. Okay, now I want to go back and redo this grass and make it very, very dark. Pardon me. So clean the brush. Sap green and burnt umber. Start on this side, touching and pressing, make it really dark. Again, remember what I keep telling you over and over about don't have anything even. So we wouldn't want this one as high as that one. Watch for that in every single thing you paint. Let's make this side a little higher. You know, it wouldn't have to be a buffalo in this painting. You could put almost anything you wanted in this painting. I'm going to sign my name for you right here, and then I'm going to go back and recap what we did for this painting very quickly so that you'll, if you've forgotten any of it, you'll know. Be sure and try to pick up the book somewhere if you are real interested in the exact color combinations on here. To sign your name, you need a lot of thinner in your paint. I'm signing it on this side since the buffalo is on the right-hand side to balance it. Still need a little bit more thinner. These little liner brushes will not move and the paint won't move on them if you don't put a lot of thinner. A little bit more thinner. This pretty gold color that we had in the grass looks nice for your signature, but you can coordinate any color that was in the painting. Or if you are one of those people who always sign your name in a specific color, no matter what colors are in your painting, that's okay too. That's a personal preference. Okay, let's recap real quickly what we did. I had a sketch of a buffalo. I transferred it onto my canvas with graphite paper, right? Then I filled in the sketch with an acrylic black paint, allowed that to dry for 20 minutes is long enough. It'll be dry enough for you to paint. Then I traced the buffalo again onto a clear adhesive paper, put the cutout over the buffalo. Then I covered my canvas with magic white. Right, don't forget that because you want to be able to blend all these pretty colors. Then I started out with peach for the sky. I did this mountain first, then I did the background mountain. Remember, these were in gray. Then we added mauves and blues, and then with no paint on my brush at all, I went back and did the back mountain. Then added a little white snow caps and peach snow caps. Then we did the clouds. Then we highlighted the clouds. Then I did this mountain that's coming closer, right here. Put all of the highlights on it. Don't forget the greens in there. It'll make a big difference. Then I did the grass. Remember, before I touched the buffalo. We still had the covering on the buffalo at this point. I put in burnt umber. Remember, very dark band of burnt umber, and then blended it up to the base of the mountains. Then we put a little burnt sienna in, right? Then we went back and I scattered some of this dark green, not as much, but some of it, into the background. Put the two different shades of yellow on, right? Put the shadow in. That's with the same dark color. Then I peeled off the buffalo. And then remember, we had an outline that we had to cover in black, because almost any time you have a cutout on your canvas, you're going to have some area that shows that wasn't covered on the canvas. So make sure you fill that in. Then I filled in the base coat. Then I did his face, used the light blue that was in the mountains, did his horn, highlighted his horn, or not highlighted, put a reflective light in his horn, put the shaggy hairs on him. Then I put the dark rust color in. Then I put the yellow color in, went back and put the taupe color, which is a light beige, in. After we had the buffalo, and I highlighted his eye with a light yellow that was in the meadow. When I was totally satisfied with him, then I went back and reinforced and planted him into the grass. Okay, then I put highlights on top of that. I think you'll really enjoy trying to do this buffalo, or any other animal. It doesn't necessarily have to be a buffalo. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it for you. And the next show that we have, I'm not real sure what I'm going to paint for you yet. It'll be a surprise. You keep painting. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. How do you mean they don't show up? They're washed out. That one washed that one right out.